Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a dial of disappointment. I really wanted this movie to be amazing. I really wanted this movie to be another amazing film in the Indiana Jones saga, but unfortunately, it's probably the worst. If you guys have been on the channel before, you know that I'm a massive Indiana Jones fan, and I've been a fan since I was a kid, and this was a movie that I was really looking forward to. This was a movie I had been waiting for years and years to come out, but when it came out, I was disappointed, but it wasn't like a total mess because there was some good stuff in there. It was disappointing, but I wouldn't say that it was like a trash movie. There's some good stuff in this movie, and let's talk about some of that good stuff. The first 20 minutes of this movie has a de-aged Harrison Ford, and what can I say about it? It's incredible. The way that they de-aged his face, and aside from his voice and maybe his face in a couple of scenes, I would say that the de-aging in this movie was just incredible. I thought they did an amazing job with it, and also, I have to give them props because they filmed that entire prologue like an Indiana Jones movie. They filmed it like the original Spielberg way of filmmaking with the spotlights and the way that things are presented with shadows and stuff. The opening of this movie, the prologue, it looks just incredible. It looks incredible because they studied the Spielberg way of filmmaking, and they also decided to have this D.H. Harrison Ford, and it looks just incredible. It honestly gives you chills because it's like you're watching the fourth Indiana Jones movie. It's like you're watching a movie right after Last Crusade. I'm so happy that they brought John Williams back to compose the music for this movie. He puts a little bit of Last Crusade music in the prologue, and it hits all the right notes, to be honest. Like, you just play the classic Indiana Jones music from Last Crusade, and then you also have, like, the Spielberg way of filmmaking with the de-aging. It's amazing. It really is amazing. I think the rest of this movie with Old Indy is decent, but man, is there one thing that almost ruins the movie, and it's Helena Shaw. Helena Shaw is a Mary Sue character, and in case you guys don't know what a Mary Sue is in movies, basically it's a character in movies or TV shows, most of the time it's a girl, who is basically perfect at everything they do and has no flaws, always wins, always one-ups the hero, always one-ups the villain, and never has any flaws or anything that makes them interesting. And Helena Shaw is one of those characters. She's not terribly written. There's some interesting stuff here and there with this character, but yeah, she never loses a fight. She's always one-upping Indy. She gets people hurt and never like faces any consequences. It's stuff like that, and it honestly makes Helena such an infuriating character. I honestly feel like Helena's character could have been fixed. Her whole character is very annoying in the movie, but there is some really interesting stuff with her character because the movie shows that she is flawed and there's a lot of things that she likes to hide away, and like her whole motive for going after the Dial of Destiny, that's very interesting because she wants to prove that her father was right and that he wasn't a madman, but they don't focus on those things. They don't focus on the flawed and imperfect, interesting stuff of her character. Instead, they portray her the way she wants to be portrayed in the movie. She wants to be known as a perfect, flawless character, and she's portrayed as a perfect, flawless character. So instead of focusing on the really interesting stuff like the flaws and imperfections, they just focus on the stuff that really makes her annoying. The rest of the movie that has Old Indy, I would say is decent, but of course Helena takes up a lot of screen time from Indy, or overshadows Indy, or annoys him to the point where he can't really shine. The rest of the characters in this movie can be hit or miss. There's like a new short round replacement who's not terrible, but he's also not too memorable. The villain in this movie was actually kind of cool though, because the villain legitimately looked and felt like an Indiana Jones villain. He just looked like this neo-Nazi scientist, and I will say that the villain of this movie is pretty good. I wish he would have been a little more menacing in the movie, but around the end of the movie, he puts on a Nazi uniform and he's like, "I'm the Führer now." And I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty intimidating. I also like the idea of neo-Nazis wanting to collect this artifact that could change the course of history, because who else is Indy gonna fight? He's still gonna be fighting Nazis, so why not let them be neo-Nazis that want to change the course of the war? I think that's a very interesting idea. I know I've been saying that this movie was a disappointment and that I didn't have too much fun with it, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have any fun with it, because this movie, despite it having some problems here and there, I think it's still a very fun movie. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun watching it, especially, I already mentioned the prologue, but the prologue just gives you all of the chills that an Indiana Jones movie should. It really does feel like you're watching Indiana Jones 4, or you're watching Indiana Jones right after Last Crusade, you know what I mean? The prologue of this movie is amazing, and there's still a lot of really fun stuff in the rest of this movie. It's awesome to see Harrison Ford back in the fedora. It's great to hear John Williams' music again. It's great to see this character that we've grown to love have one more final adventure, and while the adventure wasn't as good as it should have been, and while it was a little disappointing at times, I still had a lot of fun with this movie. And I don't want to give the impression that it's a trash movie that shouldn't be seen or shouldn't be watched, because it's kind of mid, but it's not trash. It is not a trash movie that's unwatchable. It is the worst Indiana Jones movie in my opinion, but I don't really see it as the worst Indiana Jones film. It should never be seen. Don't watch it. I just see this movie as Indiana Jones Part 5, not Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, not Indiana Jones, the worst one. I just see this one as Indiana Jones Part 5, the 5th movie. But what do you guys think of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Did you guys enjoy this movie? Have you seen it? I personally think this is the worst Indiana Jones movie, but like I said earlier, I don't think it's so bad that you shouldn't watch it. I just think that it doesn't compare to Crystal Skull or any of the other Indy films. I really enjoyed this movie, and I had way too much fun to say that it's not worth watching. I'd recommend it to any Indy fans that want to see Indy's last adventure, or they just want to see a little more Indiana Jones action. But thank you all so much for watching. God bless you guys. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to go see some of my other Indiana Jones videos. I got a retrospective on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I also have a video defending Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so be sure to go check those out if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll see you all next time.